So we can use the chat now since we're going live.
Yeah, Yellow, you can switch off your video for now. Yeah, but once you start.
Okay.
Take shit, vibe killer. Let me somebody that protect my energy from your partner. Let my past go say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go to see my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come on, my jigger. I go just follow my lead. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm taking dynamite. I blow your condo like a fan. You know I'm just that type. No. Kill my vibe. You know fi kill my vibe. You know fi kill. You know fi kill. You know fi kill my vibe. I see you watching my stories. I see you getting my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray. Feel it in your face. Protect my energy from your dollar. Let my past go say I be my healer, everything I desire. I go to see my rhythm, flow like a river. If you get sour, come on, go and sit down. I go just para, come on, my jigger. I go just follow my dream. I'm feeling vibes on vibes. I'm looking dynamite. I blow your condo like a fire. You know I'm just that type. No, don't be kill my vibe. Don't be kill my vibe. You know be kill. You know be kill. You know be kill my vibe.
Kind of boy with love. Don't in my eyes, you mama, you don't tell her. I ain't telling cause I give you umbrella. I don't fit in this together. Give you my necklace, better. Give you my last cash, better. I show you my best friend. I thought we in this together. Give you my necklace, better. Show you my best friend. I give you my last guy, you spend down. Everything I do, I under, 50 under. the way you do me, yeah. Under, understand. All of my bands are busy by them. I don't mind, I pick it content. I don't fight the uniform, man. Oluwa, can you fix the problem? Thunder, fire, that is where they give it to make you leave me. Thunder, fire, that your reason. I thought we in this together. Give you my necklace, better. Give you my last cash, better. I show you my best friend. I thought we in this together. Give you my necklace, pendant. Show you my best friend. I give you my last cash, pendant. Everything I do, I under. And I'm 50 under. You know me under. And I'm 50 understand. That's the way you do me, yeah. Under. And I'm 50 understand. Understand. Love is not enough, baby. Come to me, Molo. Love me or you hate me, know me. No mess with me, Molo. NSC 250, come along, TT. You said pills are nothing, in a Maserati. Hey, baby, easy. Fine boy like you, easy. You won't keep somebody, but lose sweet melody. I'm not there, ojoojúmọ́ là ń ṣayé luckily mo lówó tí mo fẹ́ náà me I just want to be high. Me I just want to be high. Me I just want to be high.
Hello everyone. Well, good afternoon from here. Good morning if you're in the US, and well, good evening or in parts of Asia. So super excited to be in another session of the Xend Finance DeFi Hackathon 2021. My name is Ugochukwu Arono. I'm the founder and the CEO of Xend Finance. And today we're going to be having like a very interesting topic, GameFi, and actually like delving deeper into blockchain gaming. And we have someone who is very huge in this space. And well, I'll give a little bit of background. But yeah, we have Yele Bademosi here that's going to be talking to us about blockchain gaming. And yeah, Yele has been in the blockchain space for, well, as long as I can remember. And he has been doing a lot of things. So a little bit of background. When before we got backed by Binance, I mean, Yele was the head of Binance Africa. He was the director of Binance at the time. So he was the one that we were pitching to actually, you know, to be able to get into the space. And it was really good. He has helped us grow in the blockchain space, you know, learning a lot of things, navigating a lot of hurdles. So it's with great pleasure that I have him here, you know, speaking to our audience. Well, even people who are not able to connect now can always watch this later. And yeah, we have $100 prize pool for the best question. So we had, I think, over 50 entries, 50 questions or thereabout. So, but we just have to pick only the five best questions. And yeah, Yele was able to pick 5 of the questions. So after his presentation, we're going to have him answer those questions. And yeah, I know Yele, today is Saturday. We know we're probably stealing a lot of people's times. And I remember Yele is a Liverpool fan, and I know Liverpool just won their game. I don't know if you're able to watch that game. Yeah. So I think it's something, you know, we're going to have a great time today. And yeah, let's listen. Yeah, so we have Yele Bademosi. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I will go. Thanks for having me, and it's good to be speaking at the Xend Finance Hackathon. I hope everyone is having a good time building interesting things and meeting lots of cool people. I can't wait to see what comes out of the hackathon. Well done to the organizers for a great job done so far. So this is not a presentation. I wanted to sort of introduce you know, a subset or a vertical within the crypto industry that has really come to the forebear, you know, in the last 6 to 12 months. And, you know, why I'm bullish about it, why we should pay more attention to it, and the difference between, you know, other subsets that has come before it, such as DeFi, and maybe even NFTs as we know today, and you know why this is important and the impact that it can have, not just for the blockchain industry, but or crypto industry, but for the world at large. So I think I would kind of preface my story with GameFi maybe around 2019. I remember whilst I was a director at Binance Labs, we had, you know, I was in San Francisco at the time. I think we were running the incubation program. And one of the deals that we were looking at that came to us was Axie Infinity. At the time, Axie Infinity was very similar to CryptoKitties, right? So it was, you know, almost like another CryptoKitties product. And you know, if you look at what Axie Infinity was in 2019 and what it has become today, you know, it's miles. You know, there's been a huge amount of progress done by the team, and they've created a number of primitives that I think introduces a lot of things that we would see in other kind of like gaming projects. And so the biggest sort of innovation for me, or like why I'm very, very bullish on GameFi, and I define kind of like GameFi as the intersection of blockchain gaming or crypto gaming and DeFi. But the biggest kind of, you know, opportunity or innovation really, or primitive, is the fact that with GameFi products or blockchain games, essentially there's a new way to distribute wealth across the greater billion. I prefer to use greater billion or as opposed to, you know, bottom billion, and give people access to economic opportunities that, you know, wouldn't necessarily have been available to them. That is a huge sort of, you know, the impact for something like that is undescribable. So one of the stats I like to kind of talk about a lot is using the poverty percentage in Nigeria, where I'm from, right? So in Nigeria today, and Africa broadly, 40% of the population earn less than $1.90, so essentially earn less than $2 a day, right? And when you look at Axie, people are playing the games and earning anywhere from $5 to $15, $20, depending on your skill set, every single day, right? Axie has 2 million, close to or over 2 million daily active users. And, these are folks who are earning between a particular range. In Nigeria, the last kind of like public statistics from the central bank put the number of FDIC rather put the number of Nigerians with over $1,000 in the account at less than 500,000, around 380,000. So when you look at that, the nation of Axie, if I can use that word, has more, on an absolute number basis, has more wealthy people than Nigeria that has almost 200 million people. And that's just one game, right? That is less than a couple years old. And so when I look at the overall industry and the number of sort of like, gaming projects that are being created, it's super, super exciting. Now, the difference between kind of like GameFi and DeFi or even NFTs or the ICOs that come before it is that there is a huge amount of work that goes into creating the game, right? And that is why we have a lot of things in development, but we don't have as many games as one would like. So with ICOs, all you had to do pretty much was write a white paper and say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and you release a token, and there's not much value in being created in that particular ecosystem. NFTs, super bullish about NFTs. I don't think we've begun to see, some of the use cases. Right now, PFPs or profile picture NFTs are kind of like the biggest subsegment, but I think we're going to realize that NFTs are almost like have a variety of use cases. One of the ones that I'm really bullish about is kind of around social or community-based NFTs, which I see as being the next evolution of PFP NFTs, like the board ape yacht club and some of the other crypto toads or even crypto punks themselves. But essentially, with that as well, it requires like artistic skills, but it's still something that you can spin up in a week or two of like concentrated focus. And with crypto gaming, you have to. There's a lot of work that goes into it because it has the elements of NFTs. Since every single in-game asset is an NFT. Typically, there are one or two tokens. You have to think about like the tokenomics. You have to design kind of like the game mechanics, and you have to have community. And because the success of Axie Infinity has really put the bar so high in terms of what success looks like, it will take a little bit of time for projects to sort of like break out. But I mean, right now I'm probably tracking about like 20 to 30 games, which I think are going to be or have the potential to be as big, or even if it's 30-40%. Or maybe even bigger than Axie is today. So in my mind, when I think about like, some of the big macro trends or what I'm excited about in 2022 in crypto is actually kind of like crypto gaming. And I think, when I think about sort of like why crypto matters, number one is we all know that crypto allows us to create kind of parallel or alternative financial and economic systems. And, everybody who has played games in the past or spent money, whether it is to get like an extra life or like buy some in-game items or, buy some special perks that would allow you to progress in the game. We know how immersive that experience of playing the game feels, right? One of my favorite kind of like movies of all time is Ready Player One, where you have these kids that there's the real world and everything that's happening there, but they're not really paying like a lot of their mind and their time and their attention is really in this metaverse because they've built relationships, there's friendships, there's monetary value, real monetary value in this virtual metaverse. And obviously, we're not really at the metaverse yet, but the idea is the same. We're beginning to get some early indication of what that particular future might look like. But why I'm extremely bullish about this is because, right now, crypto hasn't crossed that chasm, right? If you look at the total number of like unique active wallets, or even if you kind of combine the various users on some of the largest exchanges, the number of kind of crypto trading users is still a lot less, right? And if we want crypto to be adopted by the vast majority of people and be the dominant ecosystem, dominant financial system, we have to think about ways to onboard people. And the difference is that with everything that's come beforehand in crypto today, literally most times is taking your existing fiat and then converting that fiat into some crypto asset, whether it's a stable coin or a volatile crypto asset, and then hoping that the price kind of like goes up or something like that. With play to earn, essentially you give me the opportunity to earn crypto, and that changes everything. One of the kind of biggest mental shifts for me within the crypto space was when I was at Binance and I started earning crypto, right? As a young African, it was less about me converting my Naira into crypto. It was just the fact that I was getting paid in BNB, right? And as the Binance ecosystem grew and the value of with the Binance chain and Binance Smart Chain and everything that has come around that, the value of BNB also increased. And when you compare it to a lot of other distribution methods for token projects or even some of the NFTs, you would see that there is a small number of like active holders or like people who are using a particular token. But with gaming, you have a much broader kind of like distribution base, right? So you have females that are playing games. You can reach sort of like hundreds of thousands of users. There's kind of like higher retention, and it's just a lot more fun and engaging than trying to explain to somebody about like a layer 2 scaling solution or some abstract sort of DeFi like mechanism that they can't really sort of process, right? But if you tell someone that, oh, here is this fun game, it's similar to sort of Mafia Wars, or it's similar to Pokemon, or it's similar to Animal Crossing, or Fortnite or Roblox, like that is very, very different, And when you look at the number of crypto games, or rather blockchain, sort of like general games that are not even blockchain related, a huge amount of them are kind of having huge number of users, almost rivaling social networks today. So when I think about the kind of the what the future holds, I really believe that these blockchain games are going to be what really drive that adoption at a scale that is unprecedented. And when you put it in the context of emerging markets like Africa, LATAM, Southeast Asia, Middle East, where you have over 500 million people that are not earning anything today, then you can see how that can be such a huge money, sort of like huge and transformative idea. So to me, as a builder in the space, an investor in the space, I want to support as many kind of like GameFi projects as possible, or crypto game projects as possible, help them design sort of like the tokenomics, think about like community. Now, I think I want to kind of transition and sort of talk about, in my opinion, the 4 to 5 key things that are very, very, very important. And you can't sort of like bypass or skip these things, right? So unfortunately, a lot of people who are building crypto games think it's like, traditional DeFi, or it's like, the ICO era. No, you can't sort of like skip steps. Actually looks like an overnight success, but the team has been building since 2017 through the bear market. When Bitcoin price dropped to $3,000 to $3,000, and are still constantly building. So it's not a short-term kind of, oh, let's make money quick type of idea, right? So I would say there are kind of a few things, right? Number one is the game has to be fun, right? So remove blockchain, remove earning, remove everything else. Like, the game has to be fun, right? So the beauty about games is there's a lot of kind of existing game mechanics or game ecosystems that have been successful and work. Axie didn't invent kind of a lot of the things that we see in Axie today. So the game is very similar to Pokemon. The card kind of like mechanics is something that we've seen in other games. So as a game developer, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel, right? What are some of the most popular games, non-crypto games out there? And how can you recombine, a number of elements that makes it like quite unique, right? So imagine you take, I don't know, Mafia Wars, and instead of it being about, the game mechanics being about like Mafia, and to keep the same mechanics, maybe introduce Pirates, right? Because Pirates also have like the same kind of like crew-like system. So that's kind of number one, right? Your game has to be fun. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Look at sort of already successful blockchain games, or already successful non-blockchain games, and think about how you can sort of recombine, the best practices of pre-existing games, and then combine it with sort of blockchain native primitives. So that's number one. Number two is tokenomics, right? For now, I really believe that you need a two-token system. I might be wrong. It's possible that some might design, incentives that work when you have like one token, but the way I kind of think about the two-token system is like, one token is a passport, the other is a currency, right? So if you think about any nation in the world, for you to be within that particular country or stay as a citizen or as a resident, you need like a passport. Now, the passport is sort of like a governance token. Yes, right now you can't have 5 passports because one passport is your identity and things like that. But I think like the idea of a governance token is sort of similar to a passport, if you will. And then you need like, this in-game currency or like cash-like crypto assets that, that users sort of earn through a combination of skill, luck, and time, right? Those three things are very, very, very important. And, if you have those kind of dynamics, that also does a really good job. Number three is, if I was building a game, I really believe that you should embrace the scholarship or guild model, right? There are lots of people that have capital elsewhere in the world, but don't have the time. And if you think about sort of like how corporations work in the world today, they help organize, human capital and financial capital. They raise money from investors somewhere. They get people building things, generating revenue, and that creates like this flywheel effect, right? So a good sort of like crypto game should encourage the dynamics of guilds or like syndicates within the gaming ecosystem. Number four is you have to understand that there are different roles, right? So not everybody's going to be a player. Some people might be like, crafting, in-game items or in-game assets. So Axie does breeding, Star Atlas, you can create some ships and all these various types of things like that. So, the idea is to create a vibrant economy. You have to sort of like, create almost mini games for different types of users, right? And all of them come together to create like what is a vibrant ecosystem. On tokenomics, when you have that in cash currency, you have to think about how, what I call kind of like mints and sinks, right? So minting is, again, I'm using Axie because most people are familiar with that. By contributing some kind of positive value to the network, you essentially earn more SLP. The problem is, if you don't design these incentives right, you can actually mint more of that in cash currency, in-game currency than you need to, and that actually creates a supply shock on the total economics, right? So if you think about, if you talk about inflation a lot, there are memes about like printing money, and how that reduces the overall kind of like purchasing power of any currency. So if you don't reduce the amount of, the way you mint the in-cash, in-game currency, that's actually a negative thing. So Axie, for instance, just announced that if you are below a particular MMR, you are not going to be earning any SLP again. And I think that was primarily done to reduce the inflation rate and the circulating supply for SLP. On the other hand, you also have to think about like sinks, right? Sinks are what you spend the in-game currency for, so that you're not just always selling. So for instance, a quick win, if I was on the Axie team, a quick win is, you have your SLP, they launched AXX staking. I'm pretty sure very soon we'll see something similar for like SLP staking, right? So if they create some dynamics whereby they as Sky Movies, the game developers, are able to earn SLP, what they can actually do is take, number one, because they're earning SLP, they're pulling SLP from the ecosystem. That reduces the supply, and economics predicts that when you reduce the supply and the demand stays the same or goes up, the price also goes up, of the underlying asset goes up. So that is a positive thing. Number two is that when you give people the opportunity to like earn more SLP in the future by staking or locking away or saving their SLP, you also reduce the sell pressure, right? So these are some of the things I have to really think about, and things to think about, like it as a country or like a real economy of sorts. The final kind of like piece of information I want to kind of like add is probably the most important one, right? Community is so key. You can't rush your community. You can't force a community. I found out about Axie just because like the community, like Axie Twitter is just crazy, right? And I think like there are a couple of other games that are doing really, really cool things as well. Atlas is one that I'm also quite excited about, Illuvium, and there are a couple of others as well. I have a Twitter list that is public that you can follow to see, all the interesting guilds and kind of games that are coming up that you might want to start playing and earning. But you have to take your community so important, and like figure out ways to empower them, both non-technical and sort of like technical members of the communities, right? So for instance, since these assets are NFTs, like you could, as an under games developer, could build, their own games using the NFTs that you already published, similar to what they Loot is trying to do with kind of publishing this base and open set of primitive NFTs, but spend a lot of time on your community, let them become like your biggest advocates, and figure out how to help them make money. The more money people make from your project, the more advocates they are, and the more successful your project will be. But personally, I'm very, very bullish on kind of like GameFi. I think that it's going to be what allows us to cross the chasm. And this idea of like X to earn is something that we're going to see. So gaming is the first one. The other forms of user-generated content or platforms today that people are not earning anything for, like contributing value, and all that value goes to, all the revenue and value goes to the centralized owners, right? So I believe that we're going to see more people build, X to earn. There'll be like move to earn, there'll be engage to earn, there'll be learn to earn. And it's really brought about by introducing this DAO token ecosystem. Hopefully that was, you learned a thing or two from my thoughts on GameFi. If you're building any games in the space, please reach out. I'm on Twitter at Yele Bademosi. And yeah, we'd love to chat with you and see how we can work together.